I'm falling. Shouldn't be trusting me, I could be making it all up, you know. Out of control, you don't know me. I'm a danger to myself.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is that you are tuning in. This is Unapologetically Me, featuring me. No special guest, just me. So I just put a video out, and I'm just going to put this one out right after it. This is closing arguments for Amber's side of things. So let's just get to it. So Ben Rottenborn is the first to speak, and he begins with him basically telling the jury that Johnny's team is minimizing IPV, basically. He states many things in regards to Johnny that, in my opinion, describe Amber's role in the relationship, not Johnny. I don't feel one shred of empathy for AH because, in my opinion, everything she has testified to has been a lie or an extreme fabrication of the truth. Or even true, but somebody else's story, or flipped the other way around. You get what I'm saying? Like, it happened, but she did it to him. You know? So that's where we kind of see or kind of feel like she might be telling the truth. She probably is, except for she did these things to him. He didn't do them to her. So, and I'm not saying everything. I'm just saying there are times when I feel that way. And that, again, is my opinion. So don't come for me. Let's see, if I can feel differently after some of these closing statements from Mr. Rottenborn. So he's grappling on to the Me Too movement to manipulate the jury, in my opinion, into feeling like they're horrible people if they don't believe AH's story. He's also grappling onto freedom of speech when talking about the op-ed and AH's, rights to say what happened to her. And that would be fine and dandy if it were, in fact, the truth. So I talked to you guys in the last video about what questions they need to answer in order to come to a decision. So I'm not going to get into those again because I was going to wait and do it here, but I did 2 videos. So some people really aren't going to care about this one, or maybe they didn't care about the last one, whatever. I'm going to shut up now. So if Mr. Depp fails to prove any one or more of those 7 elements, then the verdict should be for AH. Ben Rottenborn says a few times during his closing statements that they don't have to prove that Johnny Depp was ever abusive to AH. How does that work? They don't have to prove that he ever did any of these things in order to give her the verdict. I don't know. He talks about the First Amendment, again, victim blaming. He tries to say, that in that op-ed, she said that by college age, she had been a victim of SA. College age is early 20s, right? And she was with him in her early 20s. So that is college age. She also says the 2 years thing, which we talked about in the last video, so I don't want to be redundant. So I'm trying to just scroll through what I have here because like I said, I don't want to repeat myself because I just put that video out. He says again, we're not talking about physical AB. Verbal is also AB. And we have it here in these texts. But I saw the trial, I saw the text messages. The text messages weren't to her. They were to other people talking about her. And I have to say that if it's considered AB or DV to talk shit about your relationship that is going horribly, horribly wrong to your best friends or family, I think a lot of us would be in trouble. And I say us because I definitely have texted my friends in the past trash talking either my ex or my should have been ex. And I don't understand, if it's not to the person, how it could be considered DV. So these texts were not sent to her. They were sent to his friends. So he went into the monster thing and blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound insensitive. It's just because of her. I don't like her and I don't believe her. So it's not like I would be this way if it were somebody else who was telling the truth. Yeah, they just go into a lot of stuff that really, in my opinion, doesn't really matter. But what does matter is what Amber's motive would have been. And Elaine brought that one up. And she asked the jury, why would she make this up? There was no pre or post nump, so she was automatically entitled to 50% of the assets. And she ended up leaving with less than that, because half would have been $31.5 million, and we all know she got $7 million. There was an objection to that. And I just want to say, just remember, she's been diagnosed with BPD and HPD. And she's also been labeled as narcissistic. And it didn't have to be about money for her, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So, in my opinion, fine, yeah, she could have got more money and all this stuff. Like, it wasn't about money necessarily for her. Like, is this gold digger, aspect of it, but I don't even know so much it's a gold digger thing. It's a control thing. It's a revenge thing. He was not supposed to leave her, and she's gonna make him pay now. Not like this, but like this, like what she's doing now. She was going to ruin him. She only took $7 million and pledged it to charity, except she didn't. I mean, JD is the one, Johnny Depp sent the original payments, and Elon Musk sent the other ones. So supposedly she has paid $6 million in attorney's fees so far, but yet she sent that arbitration letter after everything, asking for even more, and otherwise she was going to make all this alleged AB public, which she ended up doing anyway. And I believe he gave her those things because there are photos of her driving around in the Range Rover and sitting, taking photos on the hood of the Mustang. So I know she at least got those. So they talk about how in their marriage, their divorce paperwork, that Johnny Depp actually quoted with her about saying that neither party made accusations for financial gain. And that was Johnny's idea. There was a phone conversation where we hear audio, and Amber didn't want to do that because she was afraid that everyone was going to hate her for lying. So he worded it that way to protect her, and subsequently shot himself in the foot because it's one of the main things being used against him right now as proof that she wasn't lying. And that really sucks. Her reputation is ruined, but I don't know. I don't feel like that's on anybody but her. Why does no one believe her? I mean, there's obvious reasons for that. Aquaman was her chance for a star, is what they tried to say, but not from what I've heard. And I have to say, my boyfriend is a huge fan of DC, Marvel, and all that, and he, as well as many others that I've seen, they never even wanted her to be cast in that role. Jason Momoa had no chemistry, and no one thought that she did as well, or that she did very well as Mira. And she was already being reconsidered for the role by Warner Brothers anyway. That's what the word on the streets is. And that's what was testified to as well by, is it Jason Hamada? So then there was a rebuttal to that, where Camille came back on the stand, and she talked about the Waldman statements and how he made those statements, not Johnny, and how the Daily Mail actually has all the evidence proving that these claims were false and that it was a hoax. And did, in fact, republish the article by adding the link, which I talked about in my last video. It was a new audience, her Twitter followers. She adopted the statement as her own in republishing this article. Now, Mr. Waldman made these claims because he believes that it was okay. So they were talking about how he said that he made up a lie that the LAPD or something was investigating her for perjury, but he did this because he believes that it was perjury. So, I mean, really, it's a twisted argument. He believed his client. He said what he felt, but he said it, not Johnny. How are you going to put Johnny on trial for statements that his lawyer made? This wasn't verbatim. This wasn't coming as direct quotes from Johnny. This was coming straight out of Adam Waldman's mouth, based off of the fact that he believed his client. So, anyway, I don't know. I feel like at this point we're beating a dead horse. I mean, my last video pretty much said it all. What she did say towards the end that I feel was very powerful, was May 21st of 2016. Miss Heard walked into a courthouse with a bruise on her face. Exactly 2 years later, on May 27th, 2018, she wrote the op-ed. Everyone knew who she was alleging was responsible. She was alleging physical and SA. Her incredibly dramatic story of AB was not only extravagant, it was brutal. You can't pick and choose what allegations to believe. We all saw her on the stand telling everyone the horrific stories of AB that happened to her. Either she's telling the truth about her allegations or she's lying. Either she was raped, R word, either she was R word by a bottle, or she's the sort of person that would get on the stand and lie to you and the world about being R'd. If she would lie about that, what wouldn't she lie about? You can't believe that Mr. Depp hit her once. You either believe that he hit her countless times, or you can't believe a single word that comes out of her mouth. What is the actual meaning of the op-ed? It's not that Mr. Depp hit her once or called her names. It's that she's a representative of domestic AB. And as an extension, Mr. Depp is a representative of AB perpetrators. Words matter. Text messages with very vivid language that came from JD. He uses words many don't use. He has a dark sense of humor. He uses bad language and colorful humor, but that is not AB. You have heard AH admit to violence. There's this burden of proof that Johnny has to prove, and I feel that he has. The questions 1 through 7, I believe I can answer yes to those with no problem and no guilty conscience. I do not feel like we are letting a victim down at all. I do not feel that she is a victim. I do not feel that she is a survivor of AB. I do not feel these things happened. Verbal? Yes. But again, that's not what the op-ed was about. She didn't write the op-ed saying, you know, he talks all this mad shit to me and calls me names and throws things around the kitchen. No, that's not what she said. This is a woman who burned bridges. Even her close friends don't show up for her anymore. Mr. Rottenborn wants you to believe that everybody who testified for Johnny was on his payroll. But that's not true. Many of his witnesses were not on his payroll. And when she says this, I made a note. AH is literally rolling her eyes, laughing, smiling, and passing notes. And I think it's to her sister who's sitting in like the second row. Police testified to no signs of injury or damage to property. 6 years ago, she tipped off TMZ, made the allegations public, yet she never told police because she was trying to protect him, is what she said. The trial is about the evidence. The evidence is that she's a liar, and she herself is a perpetrator of IPV. She does not deserve to be a representative of someone who has survived IPV. Mr. Depp does not deserve to be a representative of a perpetrator of IPV. She held herself up as an ambassador of the Me Too movement, but this is not a Me Too situation. There are no Me Toos in this case.
Depp was devastating. Quote, "It's devastating. It's the type of claim, the Me Too claim of sexual violence, domestic abuse that has canceled a list of actors," unquote. And for many, and Mr. Depp would agree with this, rightfully so, Me Too is an important movement, a movement that Mr. Depp supports and believes in. It's for true survivors of abuse, not Ms. Heard. True victims need protection, and true perpetrators need to face the repercussions. But as you heard in this case, Amber Heard is not a true victim, and Mr. Depp certainly is not an abuser. Again, nobody has come out of the woodwork to say Me Too. This is the unique and singular Me Too case where there's not a single Me Too. In fact, to the contrary, Kate Moss, who was in a romantic relationship with Mr. Depp for 3 years, which he broke off, came forward to say, no, he never pushed her down any stairs. And you heard Doug Banya, an expert in internet and social media analytics, testify to the impact that Ms. Heard's allegations had on Mr. Depp's popularity. Ms. Heard's lawyers tried to tell you that all of the damage done to Mr. Depp's career was because of his own behavior, because he was...
So, as far as Johnny's motive, why would he expose all of his dirty laundry publicly for the whole world to see if he was guilty of any of these things? If that op-ed were true, why would he be doing this? He is not the perpetrator of IPV that AH has described. And she is not the heroic survivor. And that what she did, or what she is doing, is wrong. So, I guess that's all I have for you guys today. Oh my goodness, I'm right at 18 minutes. This one's a little bit more lame than the last one. You might want to check the last one out if you haven't. But you should have, because it came before this one. You know, that's kind of how it goes. Part 1, part 2. Anyway, I will talk to you guys on the next upload. Have a great week if I don't see you till Friday. Bye-bye.
Oh, you don't know me. I am fake.